Solstheim, land of primal elements and raw nature. Found in the Sea of Ghosts, north of Tamriel, this large island in many ways embodies Skyrim in its more ancient, almost Atmoran perspective. With its dark and dense forests, barren, frost-bitten mountains, numerous forgotten barrows, and strange, gloomy inhabitants, Solstheim is entwined with the legends of gods, men, and elves echoing since the dawn of time. Solstheim is very much a fairy tale, a very grim fairy tale that is. We are talking about Solstheim of the Third Era, of course, introduced to us in Morrowind's second and final official DLC, Blood Moon. And speaking of it, Blood Moon was a whole new world, replacing alien landscapes of Wardenfell with more familiar scenes of boreal wilderness. Ash and fire were replaced by snow and ice. Bizarre reptilian and insectoid creatures replaced by all too familiar beasts like wolves and bears. But there were also other changes. In many ways, I always viewed Blood Moon as a step towards the next Elder Scrolls title, Oblivion. For example, characters having longer voice dialogues and a world map filled with generic hostile NPCs. Unlike Morrowind, where every single bandit had a name, Solstheim became a home to a number of enigmatic hostile factions, such as reavers and smugglers, or wandering insane lunatics. But there were two particular factions that always sparked my curiosity. They were new and unexplored, so I always wondered about their origin and true nature within the Elder Scrolls universe. Those were the Berserkers and Fryse Hags, or as I like to call them, Frost Witches of Solstheim. Even though it's not specifically stated, I always thought of these two factions as mere branches of a single group or an ideology. They kinda go along together, promoting same values and supporting same goals. So today we will talk about them. We will cover Berserkers and Fryse Hags and see if we can eventually discover anything new about these rather obscure Elder Scrolls factions. It's time to visit the frozen island of Solstheim, so keep warm and enjoy the stay. My name is Alec, and thank you for watching. We will begin with the Fryse Hags. As for the pronunciation, I always used the Fryse Hag, which to me sounded more Nordic or authentic, but I could be wrong. As I'm not native speaker of English or any Nordic Germanic language, I struggle with some of the names found in the game. I did heard someone pronouncing it as Fryse Hags, which is probably a standard English way to say it, so in this video I'm gonna stick with that one. So, Fryse Hags can be randomly encountered throughout the island. However, the only piece of information on them is given to us by Reinhard Redspear, a Nord hunter standing just outside the northern gate of Fort Frostmoth. He is obviously placed in such a way to greet the newly arrived player, and as someone with extensive knowledge of the island, he will provide valuable information about the regions beyond the fort. You see, Imperial Fort is really the only safe zone on the island, and Reinhard will make sure to warn us against all the dangers lurking in the misty woods and icy tundra. In regards to Fryse Hags, Reinhard will remark that they are mages dedicated to the teachings of Kain, the widow of the god Shor. Each is a powerful sorceress skilled in the use of frost-based magicka. And that's about it, so let's see what can we extract from this line of dialogue and our own encounter with these witches of the north. They are indeed encountered randomly throughout the island, and often there will be a bear nearby or even a berserker. Sometimes they would stand so close to each other that it's implied that they do come in pairs. Now, in Morrowind, hostile NPCs and beasts won't fight each other, which is mostly due to game's limitation. But in this case, there's more to it. Here, it's implied that Fryse Hags, Berserkers, and wild beasts coexist in some kind of a union or a pact. And my guess is it's due to Kain's worship. One of the main attributes, and in my opinion what makes Fryse Hags most interesting, is their religion, worship of Kain. So let's delve a little bit deeper into their spiritual side. As a reminder, Kain and Kinneret are generally considered to be the same, with Kain being the specifically Nordic aspect, worshipped in the old Nordic pantheon prior to the establishment of 8 divines by Saint Alessia. Kine was known as the goddess of the storm, widow of shore, the blessed warrior wife, mother of man and beasts. To describe the difference between these two aspects in the most direct, overly simplistic way, I'd say that Old Nordic Kine is more aggressive and wild, related to storms, rain, warriors, and even death, while Imperialized Kinneret shows a more domesticated, kinder side, ruling over heavens, winds, and elements. Again, this will be a very simplistic explanation. Fryse Hags are all women, maybe because they are dedicated to a female deity, but even more so, their patron Kine is a widow of shore, implying the absence of a male figure, so in the same way men are absent from their order. It's also interesting to note all the different ways of Kine worship found on Tamriel. In Skyrim, we met the famous secluded Greybeards, order of powerful Nord priests, dedicated to Kine as well. However, Greybeards, with their pacifist philosophy of the Way of the Voice, are a polar opposite from the violent Fryse Hags. In Skyrim, we also meet other devout worshippers of Kinneret who follow this extreme pacifist ideology. In my opinion, both of them, Fryse Hags and the Greybeards, represent the most extreme, I'd say fanatical points of Kine worship. On one hand, Fryse Hags will attack everyone and everything on sight as a way of defending Kine's domain and teachings. But on the other hand, Greybeards will refuse action even when the entire world lies at the brink of destruction. And speaking of Skyrim, there is another character who's a follower of the old Nordic ways and worships Kine. Frocky Whetted Blade is one of those true Nords offering a unique, different point of view on the religion. And here's what he has to say about the Imperialized Kinneret. Those sycophants in the temple would call her Kinneret, just a pale shadow of the truth, like all the temple divines. Kine, blessed warrior wife, shore's widow, sacred to any true Nord hunter. Sacred to any true Nord hunter. She is the mother of man and beasts, and her wail is the storm. Her wail is the storm, and the mother of man and beasts. I believe that these words echo a very old, possibly even Atmoran, war-oriented mystic philosophy, and in a way offer a clue as to how could worship of Kine degenerate into a group of hostile, blade-wielding witches living in ice caves outside the walls of civilization. The old ways, in their original primordial meaning, are long gone, and I believe that even the Nords of Solstheim, living in isolation for millennia, forgot the original teachings of Atmora. So are the Fryse Hags, in essence, a corruption of original Kine priesthood. Or it could be the case that they deliberately focus on darker, primitive aspects of Kine worship, as witches in general gravitate towards less academic and more elemental shamanistic types of spirituality. Besides powerful ice magics, these northern witches regularly use necromancy and will not shy away from conjuring up ghosts and greater bonewalkers. Again, I have a feeling that Kine herself wouldn't approve any form of necromancy, which only supports the theory that Fryse Hags' practice of worship is distorted, at very least. However, that doesn't change the fact that they remain powerful witches, capable of casting a variety of spells including frost damage, disintegrate armor, and absorb attribute, among others. They may spawn in 3 variants ranging from level 8 to level 40, and often carry enchanted Nordic silver daggers called Winter Wound that do frost damage and disintegrate armor. I find the second enchantment more annoying, simply because there aren't many armorers to be found on Solstheim, and carrying repair hammers takes up lots of space. However, I love collecting these daggers as trophies, as they are also very profitable, with each costing 1000 drakes. Later Elder Scrolls games have generic witches and hags as enemies, often specialized in one school of magic. So for example, Nord witches are usually specialized in frost magics, and hags encountered in Skyrim are basically witches but older, since hag traditionally stands for an old witch. With that said, Morrowind's Fryse Hag stand somewhat unique, as they are dedicated to an Aedra and not a Daedra, as it's typical for most witches of Tamriel. So for that reason, they may even share a connection with its brigands, also found all over Solstheim, and who also serve the same purpose of guarding Kine's domain, basically nature's guardians. Now, most dangerous encounters with Fryse Hags are in ice caves, which serve as their homes. Here, they often come in pairs, or even groups of 3. And combining all the summons, destruction spells, and healing abilities with a closed space, I'd say that they can be quite tough to defeat. And as hags wander the wilds of Solstheim, they are often seen paired with the Berserkers. So it's time now to take a closer look at this truly enigmatic faction. And before that, let's ask our old friend Reinhard about them, as he will again provide only in-game information. They are called Berserkers in the Nord tongue because of their insistence on going bare-chested even in the most severe blizzard. They're as crazy as they come, friend, and care only for savagery and murder. It is said that they are so attracted to death, they make their homes in some of Solstheim's burial barrows. I've also heard of some kind of berserker mother, but no one has ever seen her and lived to tell about it. First thing that comes to mind is their obvious real-life inspiration from Norse or Viking berserkers. However, as cool as it sounds, I prefer to ignore real-life allegories and counterparts, and instead try to define everything I found within the Elder Scrolls universe independently, as it is. And even Reinhardt's dialogue alludes to this, because he says that in Nord tongue they are called Berserkers, which means bare-chested. So in respect to that, what can we say about Nord Berserkers found exclusively on Solstheim? How could we define them? Obviously, we could just take Reinhardt's words as literal as possible and conclude that it's just a bunch of crazy Nord savages living naked in the wilderness. However, it's hard to ignore a notion that there is more to them. First of all, Reinhardt himself mentions the rumors of a certain berserker mother, implying a certain mystical, deeper character to them, because why would a group of crazed savages have this mythical motherly leader figure, unless we add a spiritual or at least ideological dimension to them? But alright, I'll cut to the chase. My view is that berserkers are in some way related to Fryse Hags, and that in itself perhaps isn't such a wild idea since, like I said, they are often found together in wilderness. So I'll go a step further and suggest that these berserkers may even have some connection to Shore, and further down the line with Pelinal Whitestrake. As we already said, Fryse Hags worship old Nordic aspect of Kine, known as Widow of Shore. Berserkers, comprised of both males and females, could be then devout fanatical worshippers of Shore, at least originally. You see, Shore, who is also Lorcan, the missing or dead god, is often portrayed with a dose of madness or instability, which reminded me a lot of berserkers. They are unstable, mad, living outside the society and thus, in a way, missing or hidden. And Pelinal Whitestrake, connected to both Shore and Kine, was unstable and, in acts of blind rage, often attacked everyone on sight, including his own allies. In other words, his actions were very berserk-like. So, in my opinion, if we take the whole picture with the Fryse Hags as dark, distorted worshippers of Kine, then berserkers, as their allies, would fill the role of Shore's deranged fanatics. Again, this is nothing but a simple speculation by me. With that said, berserkers of Solstheim are indeed ruled over by a Den Mother, who resides in a cave of Gron. And at level 80, Den Mother is one of the highest level characters overall and offers quite a challenge, especially surrounded with other berserkers. She also wears a unique helmet of bear kind, fortifying hand-to-hand, agility and attack. In the end, all we know is that both Fryse Hags and Berserkers went missing by the time of Skyrim's DLC, Dragonborn, which is also set on Solstheim. Whole island suffered a major disaster following the Red Year and things changed. But I'll always be glad to pay them a visit in Blood Moon. There's a charm to their primitiveness and obscurity. So, if you are ever headed to a third era Solstheim,
be careful out here in the wild, friend. There's more roaming about than just wolves and bears.
Thank you all for watching and see you soon.